how many people actually have an ambassador in their contacts? How much more in their network? You see why there's always joy in my heart when I say the ambassador. Oh
Yes,
my God.
no, we have to your government. So
Yeah, right. I thank you for the awesome laugh this
oh
evening. You know, I needed that. I didn't see that coming, but it got me laughing. You know,
we
those
have, we
times.
have store. We have a lot in store.
Oh, no problem. I know where that came from. There's a lot more where that came from. So no problem. I'll be saving them. I can't remember the last time I saved sticker, but this one I had to see. I'm like, no, no, no. If you can do this amount of magic, for me, then it must make somebody else laugh too. Anyways, we're here and it's good to have you here. I'm really excited to have you here. Some logistics issue would have affected this, but I mean, we're glad that we're here.
Yeah.
Make It Make Sense is my platform for where I try to create a channel for people to connect to big people like you, right? So I use my network to create a channel for other people to learn from, right? Not everybody that will have access to this would maybe have access to you, but there's so much that we can actually learn together. There's something that I say consistently, which is that we were taught that experience is the best teacher. For it doesn't have to be your own experience. You can learn a lot from other people's experiences. I remember that I had a meeting just exactly a week ago with a friend of mine. He's a CEO with a company in Ghana. So he was in Nigeria briefly, and I am telling you that conversation was like maybe an hour, but I learned so much from him. And I said to him that, you see, I spent 2 years doing my MBA in the US and paid a lot of money for it, but I can't remember more than half of the things I was taught. I'm not a bad student, but
Don't comment on that.
yeah, but that's the power of conversations
Yeah.
and how just very random ones, can make so much impact in you, because that's the end of the day. You probably might not remember every single thing that you learn in a room, like, right? But that's the power of storytelling. When it's somebody's story, like I say to people that your experience is one of your greatest wealth, because nobody can take you. It is you. It has happened. It has happened. It is yours. If you lose everything, you still have history, and that's a lot of wealth because it's yours. So when you create a platform like this for people to leverage from other people's knowledge, especially those that are of course going ahead, they've done certain things right, and with shared values. That's very important to me. Shared values. So I like to put a spotlight on them, make people realize that, see, it's not only Davido and all that you should be following. There's nothing wrong with following them on, but there are still some coded people, silent shakers, powerful people like Tobi. I've been following him for like 2.5 years, and in my mind, I'm like, God, when will I be like this? But that's fine. So that's what Make It Make Sense. I also have an annual coaching program, which is Bold with KSA, which I just rounded off actually 2 weeks ago. So while the active coaching ends, but all through the year, this is also for them. So this is first for them before it is for the public. All right. So usually I would have used like a platform for this meeting where they all join in, but because I wanted to also give room for other people, like when you have an IG live like this. So it's okay. We'll get onto it, but I will also post it on my YouTube page. So what happens usually with my Bold community is that if they can't make it to the IG live, then you'll just access it on YouTube. It's there for life. So today we're talking about building a global brand. This is very, very important to me. But before I come there, I would just like Ambassador Tobi to introduce himself very briefly. We've seen your bio, but if you say summarize Ambassador Tobi in 2 sentences, what would be the most critical things for you?
Okay, Ambassador Tobi, thank you so much, KSA, for this opportunity. It's not everybody that gets the opportunity to come on KSA platform, so thank you. So I would say Tobi is a guy who loves God, and a guy who has been carried by God.
Wow.
And a guy that he has a purpose on earth to not just be among the number, but to impact life. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's so good. That's so good. That's so good. Do you know what I see from you saying that? I see a chain. I see a chain, you in the middle, and there's a left and there's a right. There's, it's not left and right per se, but there's a connect to a being or
Yeah.
a power that is above you, which is God. But not only are you seeking to get blessed from that power, but you've created a channel on the right, to make impact for those people coming behind. Tell me, like, that's what living a life of legacy is about. And I'm so glad that you actually succinctly shared who you are with that analogy. I'll always remember, because it's something that I've said myself. Yes, trust me, that's it. So we have the honor of hosting Ambassador Tobi, who is currently the Chief Executive Officer Europe of Africa Transformation Centers Foundation. And today we want to talk about building a global brand from ideas to impact. You see, every time that I invite a guest on the live session, some of the priorities for me is shared values. And I don't ever make mistake with that, because I must have been following the person for a long time. So I'm not even surprised with what you just said, right? The next thing is, so it's not so much about, how many followers they have on Instagram. The next thing is that then I try to think about what topic is going to really suit this person. So I came across a post of yours where you wrote that you read a book and it changed your life, and the name of the book is From Ideas to Impact. I said, good. If I don't have time to read this book, I'm going to merge the topic I had before and put it together with this, so that Tobi gives us like an overview of some of the best lessons he got from that book. But let's talk global brands first. But we're going to come there. I'm just preparing your mind ahead. All right. So first of all, I want to ask about what inspired your journey into leadership, philanthropy, and strategic partnerships.
Okay, good question. I would say that my journey into these 3 things was born out of the passion that I have for impact and a desire to see transformation. And so because I thought transformation, when I told people, oh, I'm becoming CEO of the African Transformation Center, a lot of my friends were not surprised. They're like, yeah, this is something, when it comes to transformation, that is something that has been at the top of your mind. And so for me, is to see transformation in communities across Africa and beyond. And some people call me the African evangelist, because I love to preach development when it comes to the African continent. And so I've always believed that true leadership is not about holding positions. It's not about the titles that you have. But for me, I see leadership as creating opportunities for other people. Wow. I see it as something where you're solving problems and also leaving a legacy that will outlive you. And so for me, growing up, I was inspired by something I like to call the power of service, and how the power of service can be a tool for change. I saw firsthand that talent and intelligence are things that are universal. These are things that everybody have, but opportunities are not. And so this realization kind of pushed me to commit myself towards building platforms that will unlock the potentials in people, and also not just unlock their potential, because it's one thing for you to unlock potential. If you don't create the avenue where their voices can be amplified, you've not created opportunity. And so for me, I saw the need where I could unlock potentials in people, unlock potentials in communities, and also create a pathway to success for them. because it's not everybody that can have that opportunity in creating pathway for themselves. And so for me, it was something that was important. Now, when it comes to philanthropy, I tell people this is my baby. This is something that I love to do. Because for me, philanthropy is not just about giving money. It's about giving people access. It's about giving people the tools and the right mindset to change their own realities, right? Because sometimes we can change our own reality and we think that's it. But we have also been given the tool to also change the realities of other people. And so for me, it was something that I developed a passion for. And I tell people, I wake up every day asking myself, what can I do for a child in Ghana? What can I do for a child in Liberia? What can I do for a child in Sierra Leone? Right from the comfort of my office in London. And so that has been a passion for me in terms of how can I create transformation in the lives of people. And strategic partnership, interestingly, I'm currently teaching a masterclass on strategic partnerships. And I was meant to take a class today, but I have to move to the class to next week. And I see strategic partnership as that bridge that connects ideas to great execution. Because every impactful initiative that I've been part of was as a desire of, as not desire really, a result of collaboration. I am a fan of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, Goal 17, which is partnership. Because I believe that we cannot have quality education, we cannot solve climate change, we cannot fight gender inequality if we don't collaborate together. And so for me, it was how can I leverage my resources? How can I leverage my network? How can I leverage the small influence that I have to be able to achieve something bigger, to be able to inspire and change the life of people? And so I believe that my journey is one of faith. I'm a very strong believer when it comes to faith and resilience. And also, I have these things my friends called an unshaking belief that Africa's greatest potential or Africa's greatest resources is in its people. And so for me, anything to untap that resources or those resources are something that I give my all to it because I don't want resources to just die there without fulfilling its potentials.
Mm. Wow. Wow. So good already. So good. You know, the interesting thing is, this is funny to me because I thought that I was setting up an IG live for people, but this is hitting me hard in funny ways, right? So my current role, I drive strategic partnerships, you
Oh,
know, in the African continent. Yeah. So you imagine how passionate I am about that and you talk about it.
yeah.
Um, and one of the things that I always say, because I mean, traveling across Africa, I can see that we want change, but we're not open or free enough or flexible enough to collaborate.
Yeah.
You know, the tendency that people are always thinking about competition, like maybe you're about to come and carry my business away if I release this, if I, you know, and I see this across, you know, being to Ghana, Kenya, and thereabout, and just traveling around.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to see uh, the future of real change
Yeah.
in Africa is tied to effective partnerships and collaboration. I'm in the
100%.
healthcare, so most of these efforts are towards, you know, healthcare, and I see many startups because I'm in startup space. You know, all of them trying to work in silos, right? Trying to work in silos. If you try to, it's a lot of problem. We need to first accept that it's a lot of problem in Africa. If you really want significant change, you cannot travel alone. You cannot want to do it by yourself. I've been in the startup space for years, and I watch how people have great ideas. You know, there's something I like said, how ideas are transitioned into execution through strategic partnerships.
Yeah.
That's all. I saw great ideas going down the drain, not because they were fantastic ideas, but because they lacked execution. And execute is people, right? Sometimes you have to look outside of yourself and, you know, consider strategic partnerships, relationships, and all of that. So I'm so glad to hear you speak from this school. where philanthropy is concerned
Yeah.
and social impact. And interestingly, for the life of me, I never tied the work that I do to SDG Goal 17 until you just said it now. And I just wrote it down and I was like, you know what? I'm going back to find out about that. Can you imagine, right? I never knew that. What I've been doing for a couple of years now is actually tied to the SDG, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you said that. You see, this is one thing that I've heard today that has really dropped something in me. All right. So next question would be, just riding on that, can you talk to us about like a pivotal moment in your life that shaped your approach to global impact? What led you on this journey? Because I see that on this platform I also come here in my capacity as a coach and somebody that's engaged quite a lot of people and studying human behaviors as well. And I see that many times what differentiates people is about their experiences and their perspectives. Even the definitions that they have around themselves, it's not it's based off the environment or the character of the perspective that they
Yeah.
have. So if you think about your childhood, the kind of background you had, the kind of education you have, maybe quite a lot of people were exposed to some of the things that you were exposed to. Why did you eventually land in this part of, well, I want to think about how I can help a child in Ghana? What is the perspective? What was the pivotal moment? What do they call it? The shift,
The Eureka
right?
moment.
The Eureka moment that made you like, you know what? This is what I want to do. What happened? What changed? What was the pivotal moment? Yeah.
So for me, I've always been someone who has been inspired by my environment, right? And I would say one of the most defining for me was when I realized that fundraising is not about asking for money. It was
Wow.
about communicating a vision to compel people that want to invest in it, right? And so,
Wow.
for example,
God, Ambassador Tobi, God help me on this session already because this is a setup. This is a setup for me. I can't believe that. Honestly, I thought this is because, okay, maybe let me let you finish because that statement you just made now. I work with startups and I help them fundraise. But you see, I'm seeing a lot of intersection between, when you're in the global impact space and what we are actually doing in the business space,
yeah,
So this statement you just made, fundraising is not just about trying to raise funds, right? It's about having a vision that compels
so
people
people
enough.
invest.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
I love that. I love that. And there's something else that you said. You said you're someone that is inspired by your environment a lot.
yeah.
Trust me, see, don't mind me. Every single thing everybody says, there's a way I pick it. I literally I rarely forget conversations,
Yeah.
especially very in. So when you said that part, I just realized that many people are actually very I wanted to stop you there, but we need to be able to engage life,
Mm.
engage life. There's a difference between being alive and living. Living is active, is engaging life. It's waking up in the morning, you're walking down your street and you're
Yeah.
asking, why is the tree that was here yesterday, why is it dead? What? Because the environment always speaks to us,
Oh,
except that person is a fool, is not absolutely unintelligent or does not care, is not
yeah.
concerned, just alive, is not living. So the environment always speaks to us. We need to pay attention, we need to engage life. You live in quotes, being conscious and paying attention to all of the signals that comes around you, that comes at you, comes to you, and comes for you,
Mm.
right? That's something else in passing. Talents and intelligence are universal. Anybody can be intelligent, but opportunities are not. So you wake up in the morning and you go out, you go to work, no matter how comfortable you are right now, there's just really always more. You want to build a legacy. You want to really live a life of impact. There must be more. It can't just be about, I have enough money, I can take my kids to any school they want, I can travel anywhere, There's still so much more, right?
Yeah.
And you are being attentive to the opportunities that are coming at you, and those that are coming for you. So that statement you made, because that's where you started from,
Yeah.
when trying to answer. And I think that for me and from the lens that I have, you already answered that question. But it's fine because I mean, for the purpose of every other person in the room, I mean, I'm going to let you go into details, but that's super powerful. You said you're the kind of person that gets inspired
By my environment.
a lot. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. You can go ahead now.
Okay, so earlier in my career, there was a time where I was working on a project that was aimed at empowering youth in terms of education, right? Education development. And that was when we were working on the Millennium Development Goals before it became the Sustainable Development Goals. And this was before 2015, right? And so we lacked the fund to scale that particular project. And I remember sitting in front of a high network individual passionately, like I'll speak to people and they say to me, there's one thing we know about you is you're so passionate about the work that you do. And so I was passionately pitching my idea only for him to ask me this question, why should I care? And I thought that, we're trying to scale an education project and skills development, right? This should be something that should interest you. But I think for me, that moment changed everything. And it forced me to rethink how I approach fundraising, because I realized that people don't just give because you need help. They give because they see an opportunity to be part of something meaningful. Because I was speaking to a philanthropist last year, and he said, "See, Tobi, the reason why I give to your project is because I see that you're passionate about what you do, but I'm giving to impact, not because you need it, not because you need the money, but because of the impact that my money would do." And so from that moment, that shifted my strategy when it comes to fundraising. That shifted my strategy when it comes to approaching ultra high network individuals to say, hey, you have $15 billion lying somewhere. Can you give 10% or 1% towards philanthropy? See, because from that moment, I realized that focusing on problems, or rather, I stopped focusing on problems and shifted my attention into presenting opportunities. Because everybody is surrounded by problems. But people want to see where there are opportunities. And because of that as well, I had to learn what I'll call the art of storytelling. Because, see, we are humans, right? And so you need to see how you can connect emotionally to someone.
Wow. Hey, Tobi, you are giving. It is well. Let me just allow you to speak.
So because see, we are humans. We all have emotions, right? And so instead of you telling people, oh, there are 15,000 people in Zimbabwe that need help, why not place that person in the shoes of those 15,000 people so that they see the reason what their money or their resources can do? And then at that point, I understood one thing which I've held closer to my chest is that fundraising is about relationship, is about trust, and it's about alignment of values. And I tell every organization that I'm part of where they say, come and do fundraising, I said, see, I want to be able to allow my philanthropists or my donors or my partners trust me to the point that if Tobi is telling you $20 million we do this project, $20 million we do it, and not say use $1 million to do it and pocket 19 million. Because when people trust you, people will begin to call you to ask you, are there any project that needs my money? Because they trust with their resources. And so for me, I understood that relationship and trust are two things I needed to build on in this my space. And that is something that has helped me to mobilize resources, to secure long-term partners, that to the point that I will leave an organization today and my partners will tell me, because you are living there, I am living with you to where you're going to. Because they say I give because of you, not because of the organization. And so over the years, for me, that has been something that has made me to to position myself and to shift and make that shift in my mind to say, okay, because of that, many years ago, I asked for money and someone is telling me, why do I care? I needed to understand humans. I needed to understand how to work with emotions to be able to create that impact that I want to see on the continent and around people around.
Wow. Wow. Already, like two key things that Ambassador Tobi has said before we go. And we are still in question. We are still far. Hey. And this has been so impactful already. First of all is to find inspiration around your environment, you know, and also not focusing on opportunities. I mean, not focusing on problems, rather seeing them. And that fits into the point I was trying to raise earlier, where I talked about it's not about the things that happen to us. It's really about how we visualize them, the kind of lens that we're using to visualize. So if you're used to the same environment that we're saying that you should find inspiration from, you actually could get demotivated from.
100%.
Yeah. So if you're viewing from the wrong lens, all right. So instead of, I've never ever felt any form of disadvantage being in Nigeria, right? 90% of my classmates, I might say, are currently in the UK, the US, and Canada, somewhere thereabout. I know Ambassador Tobi is based in the UK, but it's fine, right? But I've never ever felt disadvantaged because I also know I've also had to counsel people that have relocated, but the emotional problems did not relocate with them. It relocated with them as well. So you see that sometimes the motivation is not based on geographical location. It's not about when you go to Canada, you stop seeing things in a way, you know, you go there and you could be silent. So someone like Tobi, for example, is in the UK, yet you know what it takes to be the CEO of a company that has a base in Europe. There's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of sitting down to actually think about, because many years ago that would have been unrealistic. Literally, you know. But you will know that there's something this person is seeing. There's the lens of which this person is seeing, which is helping them to interpret the experiences around them, and then it becomes so strong that everybody around them can capture it and say, see, this guy has got value and he can deliver on these things. We can trust him, which is related to what you said earlier.
Trust.
You know, with this role and this opportunity and all of that. So while it's okay to relocate for greener pastures, and I think it makes sense, it's important that you're going in with the right mindset. You're going in with the right thing. You're not going there to just flow with a perfect system, in quotes, that your mind is conditioned to always see opportunities as against problems, you know. And so you go to a Canada and you still find something. You be in Canada and you're still solving problem in Ghana or in Rwanda or in Nigeria. You have a problem with why things are not just working here, and you don't want to keep quiet about it because you're getting very comfortable. All right. So that's really fantastic so far. My notes are full already. Trust me. Then I'm going to go over to this. What qualities do you think have helped you to lead transformative initiatives across Africa and beyond? What qualities have helped you lead transformative initiatives?
Well, for me, the first thing I would say is you have to have the passion for something before you can create change, right? And when I tell people, before becoming the CEO, I was the African philanthropy lead for an international children charity. And I've always carried, I will not say burden, but I've always carried the concern for Africa in my chest. And I think because of the passion that I have for the continent and the passion that I have for change, because I tell people that the things I do is not for me. The changes or the impact that I make is so that my generations to come will have something to be proud of, their grandfather or their great-grandfather. And so I wake up every morning and I ask myself to say, Tobi, what change or what legacy do you want to leave today? And so one that has helped me over the years was my passion for my community, my passion for the continent, and the passion for the work that I do. You see, people say they do the work because they want to make money, right? But for me, I do the work because I have the passion for it. Because it's when you have the passion for it that people can see through you, that you're
Wow.
not doing it because you want to pay your monthly bills or you want to take care of your family. But they see
Wow.
that, no, if anybody who is concerned about the continent is this person. And so for me, one thing that is very important that has helped me over the years, apart from God, obviously, who I don't joke with, but I would say my passion for creating change, my passion for impacting life, my passion that so that a child in Zimbabwe will wake up in the morning to say, I'm going to school because there's somebody somewhere who has collaborated and partners with philanthropies to make sure that I have a good school in my community. And so that has been the driving force to be able to do the many things that I've done in almost 15 years being in the development sector. Because for me, passion is everything. When you have passion, you find meaning for the things that you do. And for me, I would say you find meaning for life, basically.
Wow. Wow. That's so good. When you have passion, you're going to find meaning for the things that you do. You find somebody that is absolutely so. I mean, to everyone listening, and that will also eventually listen to it. What is emphasized here is how, first of all, find that thing that you're really passionate about.
Yeah.
In the phase of my life, maybe up to now, very passionate about coaching. So I'm a naturally passionate person. So if I'm doing something, I'm doing it or I'm not doing it. So I have a work that I do. I have a business life. I have a career, a professional life, so to say, that I probably don't bring out on social media and all of that. And I do well at the work that I do. But I'm passionate about coaching. So my boss, even on my LinkedIn page, right? So I'm always writing about coaching. At some point, it looked like, wait, are you working for this company or you're doing something? Because I don't get. You're always either you're being invited for a speaking engagement, or you're inviting people, or you're doing annual coaching and all of that. Of course, why you probably would not see that as a negative is because I'm performing in quotes. I'm delivering in the work that I do. But to myself, I sat down and I said, even though this is a job that gives me money, I do it well and I perform well. But if you take coaching away from me, there will be an empty gap. As a matter of fact, it will even trickle and affect the work that I currently do. Why? Because it's something that I find a lot of passion in. You know how you could help somebody get from point A to point B and from 0 to 1 and maybe from 1 to 10 and thereabout. So which I started say 4 years ago. Prior to then, trust me, I've always in quote tasted success. Good grades in school. I've always tasted success. Rose very fast, in my career and all of that. But nothing gave me as much fulfillment as when I got on the path of impact and actually helping people to discover themselves, to find healing, to discover their own journey, right? So I understand what you say when you say that, see, find passion. Find that thing that you're passionate about. It's only a matter of time. And then you will find meaning in it, and then it's a matter of time for everybody to catch it. People are going to, once you catch fire is passion. People are going to come and watch you burn, literally. They will come and watch you burn. Whether we like it or not, what has created a platform like this, or what has even created my relationship with Ambassador Tobi, first of all, is because of the passion that he has. It's because of his passion. He didn't need to sit me down and say, I'm very passionate about philanthropy. I didn't need to be part of the history of the people that knew you as always being passionate about philanthropy. I didn't need to see where you raised money for a school in Zimbabwe or how you were giving cash to somebody. But following you in the last 2 years plus, right, I could just tell because of the passion with which you do the things that you do, right? So again, to everybody listening, find that thing that you're passionate about. You see, life becomes literally meaningless without passion. Without passion, Because even if what's that thing? You know, when you are using, you are struggling and to do so. Be an ability. Use ability. There's so much motivation can do for you without passion. It has an expiry date. It has an expiry date. It's only a matter of time before you wake up in the morning and say, "What am I even doing? What I'm even doing? Please, everybody should be all right, Jerry. I can't do this." But when passion is identified, it is the meaning. You are not far from meaning. Where there's passion, you're never far from meaning. And that meaning does not only directly relate to that thing that you are doing, where philanthropy is concerned, in your own case. It fits up into every area of your life, your family, your career. You know, now when people say, how do you manage to do the things that you do? You have kids, you have your family, you have work, you have all of these things. It's just because I found passion. That's all. I found passion. I found meaning in life, and I just keep doing it. I find the strength to wake up the next day and still pick it back up again and ensure that by the grace of God, I'm not picking passion up or picking this up so that I can fail where motherhood is concerned or fail where being a wife is concerned. You know why? Because at that point, then you're not looking at the superior being, right? Where you are able to receive grace from God to actually to live in each of these roles and these responsibilities that you've been sent on earth to live, right? So powerful. Thank you so much. Key thing there is passion, right?
Passion.
And so that leads me to the next question about how do you identify and secure strategic partnerships that align with your mission? How do you identify and secure strategic partnerships that align with your mission, with your vision?
Very, very, very simple. You see, so the work that I do make me work with ultra network individuals, corporate organizations, and sometimes political leaders, right? And every organization have a CSR goal, right? Their CSR target for the year. For example, let me see, Unilever can be about education. And so just imagine me want to do a project on healthcare, and I go to Unilever, whose project for the year is on education. It just doesn't make sense. And so for me, it's very easy to basically identify the organization, identify what their CSR goals are, so that when you're presenting to them, you're presenting a need that they want to achieve. Because just for example, if I need a new phone, right, and you come to say, oh, so we come and buy a laptop, I'll not buy the laptop because that is not my priority. That is not my need at this point. I'll say, no, I can't buy the laptop. I want a phone. And so for me, over the years, I've come to understand that doing my study, doing my research, especially when it comes to individuals, to say, what is this man passionate about? Is he passionate about education? Is he passionate about healthcare? Is he passionate about girl child education? And then I tailor my need towards what they want to achieve. And over the years, again, I would say it's one thing for you to know that. You also need to build relationship. See, for me, I am a lover of meaningful relationship. And I use the word meaningful because sometimes you can have relationships in your life or around you, but those relationships might not be meaningful. And so when you build meaningful relationship, if you need to access somebody that is not within your circle, because you have built meaningful relationship, that person will introduce you to whoever you want to connect to. And so for me is understand the needs of the person, build meaningful relationship or connections that can help you achieve or get to that person that you want to get to. And if you can do those two things and be confident in yourself, you see, sometimes people have passion. People want to, I want to provide sanitary pad for girls, so I want to do this for women. But they are not comfortable to be able to sell the market in terms of what they want to do. They are not comfortable.
Confident.
This is what I want to do. This is why I need your support. And so some people, when they get in front of people who are meant to help them, they become scared. They get thrust into like, oh, I never knew I was able to get this opportunity to stand in the presence of this person, because they've not prepared themselves for the opportunity that maybe they've been praying for or they've been working towards to say, oh, I want to meet this person. Okay, you've met this person, but are you prepared? And so for me, it's understand the problem, create meaningful relationship, and be confident in yourself. You can be confident in yourself and be saying rubbish, and people will listen to you because they can that confidence coming out of you to say, oh my God, I don't know what this person is saying, but what they are saying, makes sense to me. But to you, I'm saying gibberish. But because that confidence is there, you're using the confidence, and people can say, oh, whatever this person is selling, I'm ready to buy because they can see that confidence in you.
Wow. See, you see that confidence. I'll say something in person. I was saying it to the team, the group I was coaching in January. This confidence thing makes sense, right? I went for a meeting. It was supposed to be called like a business meeting. And prior to getting into that meeting, I read this book by Ibukun. Someone gifted me, Girls in the Boardroom. And while I read that book, I read from preface. If I want to read a book from beginning. So while I just read the preface. And then I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, that's where you're going to be. That's where I'm taking you. Board. Calm down. These kind of people that I'm seeing here, these kind of women I'm seeing here. But I was driving to the place, the meeting, and the words kept coming. Again, that's how the thing about engaging live. Don't just be there. Don't just go to work. Just go. Just play music. There are some people they are living in a digital world. All their experiences are digital. So if they're not with their phone, they've plugged their music. People are not actually fine being alone. Try it out. If you're listening to me right now, when was the last time you spent time on your own? You just spend time reflecting about your current realities, about your past, and what your future looks like. So anyways, I'm in the car. So I'm in the car and I'm driving, but I kept thinking about what just happened. What was in my mind that was telling me about board or stuff. So I had to engage it for that. But that was it. And then I get into this meeting. It wasn't a serious meeting. It was an informal meeting. And I'm just engaging the guy. He's the CEO of a company. And we're just talking. And then at a point, he said, Kemi, there's something about your confidence. I said, really? Said, yes, there's something about your confidence. Please, can you pray for me? I'm serious. I didn't plan to say this, right? This is not a spiritual gathering, but sometimes you cannot take it out from you because when people see you achieve certain things, you need to also let them be clear that it's not everything that is tied to your skill or that exactly. So immediately, I didn't go there preaching to him. We weren't saying anything scriptural. Then he said, please, can you pray for me? And I'm like, wait, what's happening here? CEO is telling me to pray for him. And then, why not? I said, yeah. Then we prayed for like 10 minutes. At the end of that prayer, it says, Kemi, I'm setting up a board and I've been trusting God for the final person. Will you be interested in it? Oh my God. That's it. This is like a legal finance company and that's been in operation for a while. And then he says, will you be interested? Just like that. So when people see, oh, you're on the board of this, they go, wow, she's intelligent. It's not about that. But guess what? What was the key that opened that? Confidence. It was confidence. So powerful. At the end of the day, you see, the difference between people and their next level is down to simple things. Simple things. It's not until every time you're in a master class. Yes, you see, the wisdom to get from 0 to 1, it's not the same kind of wisdom that you need to get from 1 to 10. And it's not the same kind of wisdom you need to get from 10 to 100. So it depends on the kind of vision that you see, the kind of legacy that you want to leave behind, and the kind of impact that you want to make in the world that you find yourself, right? If you just want to maintain 0 to 1, some people will only experience 0 all through their life. Comfort, 0, just comfort. I can eat, I can sleep, I have a house, I'm married, I have children, and that's fine. But you see, the wisdom for 0 to 1 might not necessarily sustain you for like a 1 to 10, right? You have to, it depends on the kind of vision that you see and the kind of legacy that you want to be. But at the end of the day, you see that 0 to 1 and forever, you still always need it though. It's still down to basic things like passion. You just heard him say it. Like building meaningful relationships. 2, like confidence. 3. You know why I told you I was very busy this week? I got a recommendation for a CEO role that I wasn't thinking about, and it just happened. The company is based in the US, and I raise this now just because of the power of meaningful relationships. So at the end of the day, it's down to simple things. See, if I bring in another speaker to this platform, they will say the same thing, even though in a different way, because their experiences are different. But it still comes down to certain things that have to form the bedrock and the foundation of what growth looks like and of what impact looks like, right? Passion, building meaningful relationships, confidence. So again, thank you so much, Tobi, for raising that. Don't worry. The coach in me doesn't allow words to just go by. When I see the one, no, this one, people must get it. This one must get it. They must get it. I don't have to wait till things are spoiled and they don't come. Man, I need coaching. I need coaching. Yeah, no, I don't have to wait. So I move on to the next question. So good so far, right? What key lessons have you learned from working with high net worth individuals and organizations? Please answer this question. When you answer it, then tell me about one scenario where there's that one person that you met and shifted something about you, about your perspective, or something that was just almost like a eureka moment.
Yeah.
But this time around, experiencing the person. Yeah. So those two things. Answer the question first. What are the key lessons you've learned from working with high network individuals? And then I want you to single out one particular scenario or one person and how the person impacted you and all of that.
Okay. I've said this before, and one thing that they love is trust, right? They want to be able to trust you that any conversation you hear. I'm not saying there are bad conversations of them trying to kill people, right? But any conversation that you hear, they want to be able to trust you that, okay, I know that because this person is here, this conversation will not pass this room, right? And another thing is they value time. Because those people say, oh, 24 hours is not enough. And I say, but the same 24 hours you have is the same 24 hours that the likes of Aliko Dangote, the likes of Femi Otedola, the likes of these men who today are global figures, right? And see, when you get to meet with ultra network individuals, I've been very privileged to be invited to birthday parties. There was one birthday party I went to in London last year. I think few days before my birthday. And you see, there are men that you only see on TV. There are men that you only hear about. There are men that you read about. But when you see those men, you get to a point where for a few seconds you shake inside of you to say, what am I finding here? But I was able to find myself in that room because the person who invited me trusted me that, see, I've known Tobi for 3 years, and I can see the level of passion that he has for the continent. I can see the level of trust that I've placed on him with my resources to say, Tobi, do this with my money, and he can go to bed knowing that I will come back and give him to the T of how the money was spent. And so for me, those two things are things that even when you speak to them, they'll tell you, say, I don't have time. My time is precious to me. And I think as individuals, if we understand the concept of time and how time is important, you will not want to wait 1 second because every second counts. And so if you think that, oh, there's time tomorrow for me to do this thing, what makes you think that you wake up tomorrow, something else will not come up that will not make you to do that thing that you wanted to do yesterday and you're pushing it to tomorrow? And so if you understand the concept of time and how God has placed time in our hands for us to use it properly, right? You think that, oh, see, I tell people time is not just 24 hours. Time for me is what do I use every second to do? What do I spend 1 second to do in terms of my career, in terms of relationship, in terms of impacting people? And you see, I think it was last week, someone asked me a question that, Tobi, if I ask you now, who is the most popular person you have on your phone? And I told him, oh, the most popular person number that I have on my phone is the Crown Prince of Dubai. Not that I've done business with him, but because somebody trusts me enough to say, see, if you want someone that can create impact on the continent with resources, this is the person that you should meet. And just from one conversation, we created a friendship to the point where I can just wake up in the morning and just send a text to say, hello, hope you are fine. And I get a response within 5 to 10 seconds. Now, why am I saying this is this? People will value you when they see that you are someone that can create impact and someone that values relationship and time. So sometimes people will just believe that, oh, I can only value relationship of someone who is higher than me, or who is wealthier than me, or who is more experienced than me. But you don't know that there's somebody who you are above that might have the connection to the person that you want to meet at the top. And so you need to value every relationship that you come across. You need to value the time that you spend with people. And because at the end of the day, if, for example, someone said, oh, I have only 30 minutes to meet with you, in 10, 15 minutes, there'll be this eureka moment in that conversation that they can say, see, I'm ready to spend 1 hour, because they can see the impact that you've created within the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think for me, those are two key lessons that I've learned over the years, building relationship and working with ultra and high network individuals, that they value time and trust is something that is important to them.
Wow. And then integrity as well.
Yeah.
And yes, I think I'll add value. Okay, so be a person of value. So because at the end of the day, value is tied to time, right? Every second, just like you said, we have non-renewable resources that are limited, that and would always be, is universal in nature, is time. And then there's you can't recreate a time that is spent. That yeah. So there has to be value exchange in the chronos. Permit me to say chronos. And that's why when people say your entire lifetime, what have you done? They say lifetime. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's the units is still brought down. But in that moment, when you say the value time, you know, they're also thinking about value. Interestingly, you see, the crown prince that you mentioned just now, I remember that a couple of months ago, I made a post on LinkedIn. Sometimes I can wake up and it's like I'm getting direct knowledge from heaven. My head was open and I write. So that day was one of those days. So I wrote something on LinkedIn and he liked it. I said, maybe it's a scam account. I went to the page, I saw 3 point something million followers. This cannot be fake. So I went ahead to follow him. And then he followed me back. Oh my God. Of course. At that point, I was still frozen. I didn't do anything about it, trust me. But the point I want to make is people are always attracted to value. Be a person. Being a person of value determines how you maximize the time. It's just like we're talking now. We have time. We have 1 hour to speak. We have to exchange value. That's what defines the character of that time, how valuable that time is. All right. So you have to be a person of value because you cannot give what you don't have. Do you get? You can't give what you don't have. So be a person of value. And I always try to chase after originality a lot. I always change original value in quotes. So because I like to read quotes, I write quotes as well. But most times I don't like to write quotes that are picked from other people. I try to just really, really see it and engage the universe and of course God as well. And so that day was one of those days. And I released that day. Even me, I said, where did it come from?
This one is from the source.
You know, I get those kind of encounters quite a bit. You know, it's been a while, but I'm praying that it comes again. But it was valuable enough for the crown prince of Dubai literally to like it and literally to follow me. So yes, I don't have his phone number like you, but it's on my LinkedIn contact. I didn't do anything about it. And this week, I was talking to somebody because of that, the CEO role I was telling you about. And I was talking to him, thinking, because he's a CEO, right? He's in Rwanda. And then he's like, he looked at me, paused a second, keep me updated about this role. I said, of course now, because we are talking about it. And then said, no. Because if you do not take it back by chance, I'm bringing you on board my company.
Wow.
Guess what? that was you know, we had to work about an hour, you know.
Yeah.
So typically I work, I mean, you know now. I work in the morning. So 1 hour, you secure a big job, a big wow. What was happening in that 1 hour? Exchange and value. Then it doesn't take long before people say, no, this person has got value. I need this person. Look at me and say, I know how your mind reasons. I know how your mind reasons. You know what? If by chance you don't take this role, let me know, because I'm bringing you on board my company, right? So that's how important being a person of value is. See, if you are here and you're listening to this, you haven't listened to this, and people have told you are shy, your temperament is sanguine, please, you are not, you are who you need to be part-time.
Yeah.
That at every point in time when people engage you, they're engaging with your utmost self, and that is coming from a place of value. See, I'm not going to leave this room. You have to see my value. I have to exchange value. It can be the way you walk. That's how you could. It doesn't mean you have to be loud and just be everywhere. It could be the way you walk. It could be your selection of clothing, the colors you've combined, how you decide to change your hairstyle and all of that. But don't walk into a room with a weak self and say, I'm sanguine, I am inflexible. People say I'm shy. I don't know, please. You don't know the opportunities that you are missing, that you could encounter, and you are missing in that moment just by not coming with your utmost self. So yes, be a person of value. Be conscious of the value that you bring into every room. You know, before, you know, when you said the analogy about attending a birthday, I remember that a few years ago, I went into a meeting and it felt like I was the smallest in quotes because they were all celebrities. My leg was literally shaking. This same meal, just 3 years ago, my leg was like, what am I doing here? I'm asking questions. You know, the person that invited me saw it and came to me, you know, just to make me feel comfortable. But that can never, ever repeat itself again. What has changed? The same me. It's the same name I have. The same form that I have. It's perspective about how I see and the value that I bring into every room. The last big room I was in, I had like 5 billionaires. So if I want to come, how much I have in my I'm
come on, we know. Yeah.
I cannot come there and be talking bad in terms of money. I have money. See, someone was telling me, see, I'm taking a private plane back. You know, I said, and he said, oh, it's going to cost me about $15,000 to Lagos. I said, okay. Do I want to exchange that? Do you know? Guess what? I cannot. There are platforms I will go to. They see me, KSA. Wow, but I am on a platform with somebody that is making, has $1 million company, right? Can't go start exchanging with them based on, you know. You have to always know your own place of strength and come from your own place. I spent 5 minutes talking to that guy. You know what he said, Kemi? You know what? I want you to come to my company. Can you come and do my management retreat? Is in January. Could you come and do like a coaching for them? 10 minutes. We're talking 10 minutes. Casual. We shook hands. We're still shaking hands. And I said, I don't even know. I can't remember what I said. I didn't plan to make him a customer or anything, a client. But I took him. I was talking. We're saying some things. And then I said, you know what? Can you come to my office, my management team, for some sort of coaching? I said, wow, interesting. So please be a person of value and conscious of the value that you always bring into a room and be ready to deliver on that value. Awesome. So I'll go to next. For someone starting out, what steps can they take to position themselves for international collaboration?
You see, if you want to be a player on the global stage, you have to first position yourself.
Sorry, one second, Tobi. I'm so sorry to cut you in. Please hold on your thought. All of Ambassador Tobi's fans, you know, so this is making make sense. I do this once a month, bring powerful voices like Ambassador Tobi. So if you want to access this video, of course, at the end or after this session, it will be on my page at the Big KSA. So if you are not following me yet, please do follow me at the Big KSA. You would get access to this video. I will listen to this thing again, trust me. And then of course, mostly I'm going to keep bringing in powerful voices that we can have free access. Just imagine the amount of resource that Tobi is giving us for free. All right. Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did I take
um
good?
yes, I know we've been talking a lot of value, right? And for you to position yourself as someone who is of value. So let me give you an example. Uh, before a club will buy a footballer, right? They will not just spend 30 million or 40 million on that player because they have the money. They will buy a player that will bring value to the team, right? And how do they find those players? Is because that player himself or herself has positioned themselves in a way where people will see that, this guy is a good goal scorer, this guy is a good defender, this guy is a good goalkeeper, because they've positioned themselves as someone that is a value, right? And so there are keys in order for you to gain international collaboration and visibility. And the first thing I would say is define your value. Ask yourself, what do I bring to the table? What problem am I solving? Why does it matter beyond my local context? For example, you can be someone in Nigeria and you are someone who wants to be an international player. You ask yourself, why do I want to play, with all due respect, the local league, right? I want to play in the Premier League. I want to play top there. I want people to see me when they're mentioning the names of people in my space, they put me there. And so you need to ask yourself, what is that problem that I'm solving as an individual? Because that will help you to understand and also position yourself so that people will get to see you. And I'll say one thing, that the clearer you are about your expertise, the clearer you are about your vision, the easier it is for you to attract global opportunities. Because when you're clear about the vision and the goal that you want to achieve, that in a way now, you see, if you put a magnet, for example, close to something and it can attract, the thing will not just come to the magnet. The magnet will go and do what? It will draw that thing to it because it feels that I have the capacity to draw this thing to myself. And so as the individuals, we need to ask yourself, what expertise do I have? What impact do I have? What is my vision? And if you can understand that in terms of defining your value, that will help. Another thing people take for granted is our digital footprint. You see,
Yeah.
you need to work on that. You need to build that. You see, I tell people when I see some posts, I follow these gossip blogs, right? Not because I love gossip, but because sometimes information will not come to you. You have to go and find information, right? And so when I see some, not just even the gossips, news, and I see people comment some things, the second part of me will want to say, are you dumb? Are you mad? Or want to counter. But because I know that what I post is in my head, right? Immediately I post it, it's no longer my property. It is now the property for the world to see. And so the thing I always ask myself, this thing I want to say, 10, 15 years to come, or even 2, 3 years, what do I want people to say about me? When people look for my name, see, I'm proud to say if you Google my name now, the things you will see are things that will inspire you. They are not things that will make you question, why did he say this? Right? Because for me, the things that I put online are things that I know that in the next 10, 15 years I can defend. There are
Wow.
things that I am not shy away from. And so I am always, people just say it's just Twitter, it's just Instagram. But hey, many years to come, as long as you post that tweet or you post that Instagram post, it has left your space, it has left your head, it now become a public entity. And so whatever people research about you, it will come up, except you have the opportunity or the money to go and pay Google to take it off or go through the back and forth for you. So you need to build your digital footprint. When people research your name, what do they want to see? Right? For me, over the years, I've been able to build my digital footprint that when you search Tobi Aigbogun, Ambassador Tobi Aigbogun, everything you see will boil down to one point. A guy who is passionate about creating change and making impact. Because see, we live in a world today where your online presence is a global resume, right?
Sure.
And recruiter won't even need to go through your CV. It is what they see online that they will use to judge if you are capable of carrying out that task. And so you need to build your global resume in a way where, if, for example, a company is looking for a CEO position, and before they say, oh, let us put out a job ad out there, let us even search online to see people who are within this space that we think that we can invite for an interview. And so for you to be a person of value, for you to position yourself for global opportunities, those two things are very important. And the last thing I will say on that is you need to align yourself with global networks. I am part of a lot of organizations, a lot of global networks where I've been able to join industry leaders, join conferences, because I am part of networks that not just inspire me, but also give me the opportunity to position myself where on a normal day, I cannot, for example, still be gate on the streets of Lagos or street of London. But if I go for some conferences, if I'm part of some private member clubs, if I'm part of some boards, I sit on a board where the people on that board, every time I go for board meeting, I ask myself, is this me really in the position of, because these are people where you read about, you read their stories, you see the things that and you're like, wow, I'm in this space, right? So you need to align yourself with opportunities, fellowships, conferences that will help you, that will draw you closer to global opportunities. And if you can do these three things, trust me, the global opportunity will start rushing to you like water.
Awesome. I love it. Tobi, you're a great teacher. Trust me. You are a great teacher. I like how you just hit the nail on the head and you leave each question with at least something that someone can do for next steps, right? That's the difference between a motivational speaker and an inspirational speaker. That's the difference between motivation and inspiration. Inspiration leaves you with knowing exactly what next step with an action points, and what next steps should look like. So yes, thank you. You talked about digital footprints, you talked about aligning with global networks, and also defining your value. Running out of time, but then I'll go to this question. How can individuals leverage social impact, gain global recognition? I love that
So
question.
the question.
How can individuals leverage social impact to gain global
Okay,
recognition?
sorry. I didn't hear because there was a power bike that was passing just
No,
outside
yeah,
of my
worries.
office.
No.
So see, social impact, you see, nowadays we find people going into social impact space for their own selfish gain, right?
Mm,
And so you find setting up NGO because they want to get some grants and enrich themselves and use it to say, oh, I am creating social impact. And so I'm using it to make money, right? And there's one prayer I always pray that anybody who is in this space who is doing this for selfish reason, may Holy Ghost fire burn them. Because the reason why I pray that prayer
amen.
is organizations are giving you grants so that you can create impacts and not for you to enrich yourself. Because there are people out there in communities who believe that with you helping them to get access to this grant, you can change their lives. And so some people go into social impact because of selfish reason, right? And at that point, they do it, they dabble their way through global opportunities. Some they stay there for long, some they don't even get there. But see, there's nothing God, and this is me being spiritual now, yeah. There's nothing God will commit to your hands and you'll not make provision. If God is telling you that I am making you a leader in the social impact space, whatever doors that need to open for you, whatever global opportunities that you need to fuel that social impact gift that is inside of you, it will make it available. And
Wow.
so if you are with clear intention, the first thing I always tell people is do it with clear intention. Not do it
Wow.
to say, oh, I want to make money from it. Because nowadays, especially in countries where you can wake up one morning and apply to register an NGO online and there are no checks and balances and you're registered and you can come up with stories to make money.
Hmm.
God will judge all of you. Like they say, there's God. But I'll say one thing. One way you can use social impact to gather global opportunity is for you to show meaning of the work that you do.
Mhm.
Many people love impact. They love to create change. But if you don't create the avenue for people to see what you're doing, opportunities will not come to you. You need to use different platforms, storytelling, digital media, social media, Instagram, Twitter, whatever opportunities that you have. See, you don't need to wait to attend that big conference before you get access to people.
Yeah.
What do you have around you that you have used to gather interest in your work? What do you have around you that you've used to make someone in the US monitor you for 2-3 months to say, okay, I think there's this consistency in this person from their tweets, from their posts. Just for example, like what you said, that you've been following me for 2-3 years and you could see the consistency and the passion for the things that I do. And then you reach out. So the things that you think that people don't take notice of are the things that people take note of. So you need to ask yourself, what resources do I have within me that can prepare me for the opportunities that I want? So you don't need to wait for you to attend the UN General Assembly or for you to attend the African Union meeting before you have that opportunity.
Wow.
What you have, what are you using it to do?
What do you have in your hands, right?
Exactly.
What are are you maximizing the resources that are within reach, whether they are limited or unlimited? You see, the nature of resources is that they are not necessarily unlimited. They will come with some kind of limits, so that there's room for one, the God factor, right?
100%.
The other room for you to push yourself to be better, to work hard, right? You know, so that's fantastic. I love that. I have here, has someone recognized as one of the most influential people of African descent? You know, I was nominated for this award actually last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. How do you define influence? But I did not have plenty impact like Ambassador Tobi. Yes, you know. So I didn't have plenty impact that much yet. But I mean, I was nominated. How do you define influence? You know me, that see this one, I take this question P for every single person that comes here. I see Dr. Adeyemi Adeni. It's so good to have you here. It's been a long time. You owe me, Doc. You owe me, right? I'll be in your WhatsApp. Anyways, again, hello to everybody here. If you want to have access to the video after now, you can read. You can have access to it on my page at the Big KSA. So if you're not following me yet, you can follow me. I try as much as possible out of the limited resource, which is time that I have, to post something meaningful, you know, every now and then. And I do this once a month with powerful voices like Tobi. So yes, how do you define influence?
Good question. I tell you that for me, influence is not about popularity.
Love it.
Influence for me is about impact. And so for me, influence is the ability for me to move people towards a meaningful action. It's about me using my voice. It's about me using the platforms that I have. It's about me using the different resources to inspire people, to empower people, and to create this tangible change that I want to see. So for me, I'll say this quickly. There are 3 what I'll call fundamental dimensions of influence, right?
Wow.
And I'll say influence is responsibility. You see, influence, when people say they want to be influential, I just laugh, because they believe that influence is, people get to know you. But influence for me is, how can you lead with integrity? How can you serve people with purpose? Because that is something that is missing. How can you uplift somebody? You can't say you are popular or you are influential and people within you cannot feel it. Influence is not by the number of social media followers that you have, right? But the number of people that are following you. What impact have you made in your life? And so for me, when people say, "Oh, don't you know who I am?" and I say, "Oh, have you checked my Instagram? I got 1,000 of followers." I just laugh. I said, "See, influence is measured by impact, not recognition." Thankfully, recognized by one of the most influential people of African descent, which is great. But you see, I always tell people that for me, the real question I always ask myself is, Tobi, what do you use your influence for? Right? The influence that you have, the people that you have within your circle, what have you used that influence to do? You see, now I run a podcast, and my podcast is not the podcast where we come and we talk men, women, you bash your boyfriend or you bash your girlfriend.
It's not a backstage. I get that.
Exactly. And the level of people that we bring on our podcast, some are personal relationship, and some are, you reach out to them online, and some will do their research before they accept to come on your podcast. So one thing we should ask ourselves, for everyone is influential, right? Everyone is influential in your own right. It's not about
potential for influence.
yeah,
Everyone has
because at the end of the
potential.
day, people say, "Oh, I have this, I have that," which is great. But the question you should ask yourself is, what lives have I changed? And if you
Wow.
answer that question genuinely, then you are influential. And the other thing I'll say is this: influence is not about legacy, or rather, it's about legacy and not just about visibility, right? Because people are seeing you online, people are seeing you around, you are getting to speak at conferences, which is great. That does not mean you're influential, right? And so for us to be influential, we need to build systems. We need to create opportunities for people. We need to create solutions that will leave a lasting impact. And so every day of my life, I'm always asking myself that, what do I want to be remembered for? And
Wow.
I want a child in Zambia, a child in Rwanda to say, I am where I am today because many years ago, a guy was able to gather resources from philanthropists to build school, to build healthcare center in my community, and that has aided me to become who I am today. And so as we move on in life, as we navigate this life trajectory, I don't want to convince or confuse you, but I just want to ask yourself one question: that if I leave this earth today, what will people remember me for?
Wow.
You don't want people to say, "Oh, he used to live a luxury lifestyle. He used to fly private jets. He used to do this. He used to do that." Those are great, but at the end of the day, you want to leave a legacy where your children will walk into an organization and you say, "Oh, my name is my name is David Aigbogun," and they're like, "Is your father Tobi Aigbogun?" And you say yes, and they're like, "Wow, do you know that your father helped me do this, do this, do that?" That is what I want to live when I leave this earth. So ask yourself, when I leave this earth, what do I want my name to be remembered for? Do I want to be popular, or do I want to create an impact?
Wow. 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 Tobi, you are loaded. You are loaded. I need to come for a one-on-one session. Okay, don't worry. We plan to see you when you're in Lagos, right? We need to go for lunch or something. Oh my God, this is so good. This is so good. I really do appreciate it. The last time I had ID Kabasa on this platform, he spoke in the lines of this. I mean, usually I would tend to ask people this question, right, when I invite them, and he said something. I wanted him to speak from the lens of being a celebrity, almost like a legend,
Yeah.
especially in music phase. And then he said something about acceptance and popularity. He said people today that are popular, but they are not accepted. Right? Impact and legacy goes in the direction of
Yeah.
acceptance, not popularity. I went to the salon today and there was a video on a Papa music, female music artist in Nigeria, Yemi Alade, and I was like, wait, this lady, where has she been? They were playing old school music. And I'm like, but there was a time she was even more popular in the global stage than in Nigeria. She was everywhere, right? If your sense of acceptance or is hinged to, oh, how many people are following, because they're not always there. People will follow the next big.
Well, yeah.
You
They'll move on.
They are used to it. They'll move on. They follow the next big thing. Who's the next rate? Hey, they go there. So for celebrities, especially, or public figures, and if you're here, you're thinking about having such legacy in code, you have to prepare yourself for a time like that. And it starts from now. It starts from when you have just 1,000 followers on IG. When you have just 10,000 followers on IG, how is that defining your sense of identity or your sense of acceptance of the things that you do? Are you showing up every time to feed, in quote, the followers and the popularity or the recognition, so to say?
Let me say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Someone reached out to me last year and said, "Tobi, with the position that you're in, you should have more than 3,000 followers. I know people that can sell followers for you, and I don't want to buy followers, because for me, these numbers don't count. Like, my page is even on private, right? And so if you send me a request and I go through your page, I have to see something that is meaningful before I accept it, right? And so, but some people, they believe that, oh, because you are an ambassador, because you are a CEO, you should have number of followers. And I said, see, for me, these things don't count, because I don't want to have followers and people, like, because some people use that to measure success. The number of people that follow you online, the number of people who follow yours, because sometimes you see some people that have 100K followers, and you go and see comments, maybe 5 or 3 people will comment on any of their posts, and you begin to ask, how did these followers come? And so for some people, I just wanted to say that, because some people believe that, oh, it is when you have a lot of followers, that is when you are popular, when you are influential. See, I tell people, I want to be influential, or I want to create impact where it matters. Because for me, that is what counts. And not by people following me. Maybe they want to get gist. I am not Insta blog.
No.
I am not.
Or when you are entering private jets, or the kind of clothes you wear, all those kind of things, right?
I get on social media.
Yeah, I get that. And coming from my place of also coaching people, I have had the privilege to meet a couple of celebrities, maybe even coach a few, right? And I see that, you see, the long-term, the medium to long-term impact of this thing, this narrative, this digital identity crisis is not good for anybody. So now, I'm not trying to show up so that you can get followers, you know. I add that pressure to the pressure of actually making genuine impact, just like you're saying. And it's interesting, because there's this guy, he's Nigerian, but he's based in Canada. I've never met him, you know, but every single month, every first day of the month, he will send me a DM, and he's just going to send prayers. The last prayer he sent this month, because at some point, you know, you wake up and say, wait, why are you even stressing yourself? People will be fine. Then I wake up to his message, DM, and then it says, if you ever think about if you're making impacts in the lives of anybody, I want you to remember me, and I want you to know that you've really impacted me significantly. He talked about how he was dealing with low self-esteem, and just by coming across some of my posts and all of that, and I'm like, wow, this is a guy in Canada. I've never met him. He has not missed it. Every month, you send me DM. I posted some things on some issues growing up. One of my bosses, it came to my WhatsApp and said, Kemi, I read your story. Thank you for sharing it. By reading your story, you give me the permission to start my healing journey myself.
Wow.
Now, this is a boss that, while I worked with him, I saw the struggles he had. You know, saw some of but you can't go to your boss and say, I can help you. You can't. You just have to somehow wait for the right time. Or maybe you can't afford to keep silent, you know. So expressing or posting or showing that level of vulnerability is not for people to come and see my story. I'm also thinking that, see, this might not land with 1 million people. It might not get me 100,000 followers. But if it's just one person that this will impact, then it's fine. So he reached out to me and said, by reading your story, I got the power to start my own healing journey. I didn't need to preach to him. I didn't need to sit him down. And I get a few people reach out like that. So that's, in quotes, maybe you can say, like, from a small space. So I am in alignment to what you said. Again, for me, because I see it from that angle of they come for coaching and they're having certain struggles at some part of their life. But you have all, they are fans. They are not true disciples. They are not actually really there. They are not there. If you are down, if you don't have money, or can it help you? You know, they can come, or maybe, but it's there, but they are not there. So even if I have 1 million followers, I need to, and it starts from now. It's there in my head that they are there, but they are not really there. They cannot define my identity, my sense of purpose, or the kind of legacy that I want to build. All right. So this is very, very key. I love it. I have a final question here, but if you were to give one advice to imagine African entrepreneurs and leaders, what would it be? This is the final question I have here, but I told you I'm going to give us a summary of that your book that you read from ideas to but yeah, let's give this a shot. If you were to give one piece of advice to imagine entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs and leaders, what would it be?
I'll say this, right? It is not about where you start. It's about the value you bring, right? And for any entrepreneur, any leader, the connections that we make, or the connection that you make, and the transformation that you create is the beginning of a lifetime transformation for somebody. And influence as an individual begins when you decide to use what you have to uplift others. And so ask yourself, what do I have that somebody? As a leader, as an entrepreneur? Because sometimes a lot of people say, I want to be a leader, I want to be a leader. But the question is, do you have what it takes to uplift somebody? Do you have what it takes to transform the lives of somebody? And do you have what it takes to be an effect? Because everybody can be a leader, right? Everybody has the capacity to become a leader, but not everybody have the capacity to become an effective leader. And so if you can answer that question, then that's the beginning of your journey.
I love that. I love that. Absolutely. That is right on point. So let's do this quickly. I know I wanted this to be over by 6, at most 6:15, because I even have a meeting I'm going to, right? But this has been super, super insightful and interesting. I'll definitely be going back to this video. But yes, let's give this a shot. Some of your biggest lessons from the book that you read, from ideas to impact. We will still do our own one-on-one. You get when you're in Nigeria. I want to hear that book. For you to highlight that book, right? Or tell me, let's hear your high level summary of some of your key learnings from it.
I think that book gave me clarity when it comes to my vision. And big shout out to Michael Cedric. Michael Cedric is a very good friend, and I'll call him a big brother in this space, who is the co-founder of Global Citizens. So he's the one who who wrote that. Yes. And so what that book did for me was to give me clarity of my vision. And it was that book I read before I transitioned into becoming a CEO to prepare me for this journey. And again, it made me to understand that I've been called to service. And so I need to create commitments in serving people. And the last thing I would say, which I think is important, is don't just give excellence. Be consistent in excellence. And for me, I always tell people, I don't want to do one good thing. I want to be consistent with it. Wow. And so it gave me that idea of how to create consistency in excellence. And those are the 3 things that I've held on to, that I've been using in my life to navigate this terrain that I find myself. And for anyone who want to read it, please get it. For my Ideas to Impact by Michael Cedric. It's on Amazon, US, UK. We're trying to see how we can get into Nigerian store, but Amazon ships to Nigeria as well. So it's a great book that I'll recommend for anyone in the social impact space, or anyone who want to create value or impact the life of people.
Wow, so good. Ambassador Tobi, just help me bring my own copy where you're coming from.
No problem.
bring my own copy. I need to read that book from everything you said. One key thing is the consistency in being. Trust me, again, as much as I created this platform thinking of a lot of other people, I didn't know how much impact it was going to have in me. Of course, I planned to come and get things, get a lot of value, but this has really, really impacted me in more ways than one. Even with that statement you just made about you don't just want to do one good thing, you want to be consistent with delivery, and sometimes you get that, and For me, recently I've had that, you know what? You've tried, you've impacted people already. Now enjoy your life. Enjoy your life. Okay. Enjoy your life. You know, let me tell you how bad it was. You know, this is the 9th edition of Make It Make Sense. So at some point I said, you know what? Just do the 10th one and that will be the last one. Do the 10th last. You've tried, you helped people, you know, but it felt like when you said those words, I don't just want to do one good thing. I need to be.
Yeah.
And that was the picture that just came to my head. You know, you see, you can't stop. You just have to be consistent. You know, this has really been very, very inspirational for me. I want to thank you once again for the privilege to have you here. And of course, to everyone that has stayed all through till now, I hope this was very engaging and very good for you. Please drop a comment and say thank you to Toby. I see a few people. The new Dami says, thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you, Dami. Thank you, guys.
Oracle of Praise has been very, very consistent with posting comment. Please say big thank you before we end this IG live session, because at the end of the day, you go and pay for MasterCards and you hear the same thing. You gotta pay plenty money. I hear the same thing. So thank you so much. If you are not following me yet, please do follow at the BKR so you can access this video again. Please, I honestly wish that you can even share it on your stories, on your social media angles. This is how to position yourself to start making impact. You know, it doesn't always have to come from you, because you might say, okay, man, I'm not yet in the level where I can speak like KSA and Ambassador Tobi. But you can be a channel to spread this. I mean, you're here, you see how good this is, because it's really good. I will come back, and I know how many times I will have to listen to this again, because Tobi was literally speaking a lot to me. So I encourage you to play the video again. It will be on at the BKSA. Posted there just immediately after this. All right. So thank you once again. Those that are find it on my page at the BKSA. It was an amazing time.
Thank you.
And I'm going to have you back. Trust me, I'm going to have you back. On a bigger platform, actually. I will. All right, Tobi. Thank you so much. We'll see you.
All right, bye.
Bye, everyone.